Hey, it's Spencer. This is the continuation of our series starting a Syntropic Agroforest from scratch. Today I'm going to be showing you how we set up our rows. So this is the details from start to finish. So first of all, we're going to be coming through, we're going to be digging holes, and then we're going to be moving material, and then we're going to be planting trees. I want to talk about some of our pain points, some things that you can avoid, some things that we've had to learn how to deal with and we found our own solutions around. Our main pain points have to deal with our topography. So our topography is very uneven, and our whole landscape and our whole substrate is rocks. Because it's rocks, we need to bring in a little bit of material to retain some moisture. So we're going to be bringing in a little bit of crappy soil, which is just, we bought it from a quarry. So it's a little bit of topsoil, what they call topsoil, it's actually subsoil mixed with some cinder. So we're going to be utilizing that inside of our row and in our planting holes to give more moisture retention for our trees. So we're utilizing this basically just to hold a little bit of moisture and really to have something to plant our trees into. As we dig out the holes, we need to move the rocks out. And as we move the rocks out, I'll show you exactly how we've set them along the sides of our rows. So what we're actually doing is we're taking these rocks and we're starting to build a berm along the edge of our rows with the fill that comes out of the holes. So this is actually going to retain more of a moisture for us because we're creating a concave effect. So that way we can capture more moisture for our tree row. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming and bringing that soil that we talked about into the holes so that all of this material is just coming out on the edges here. So you can look down a little bit and you can kind of see we're basically building berms along the whole edge of our row. Pulling those rocks out is actually starting the edges of our rows, the berms, like our mulch material is going to become. So basically we're just building up the edges here, and we're going to be creating a compost pile on the edges of our entire row. So those rocks are the beginning of the foundation of that layout. So we left this one spot right here. This is for access for our wheelbarrow because we're going to be coming through this way. We got to move some of this material and we need to move some of this material. With the wheelbarrow, what we're going to do is we can only take it down so far down our road because once we get to a certain point, the landscape is way too uneven that we can't actually bring the wheelbarrow all the way back there. So what we do is we fill buckets with the soil that we carry the buckets down and dump them into the holes. So we'll show you that procedure. And then after that, we'll be planting, and there's a couple of nuances with our planting that I'll show you as we're going along. Stay tuned, keep watching, and we'll show you the whole process. And then one more thing we're going to be doing out here is actually digging more holes. So throughout looking through my other design over here, I'm noticing that we need more trees out here. So basically we're going to be coming through and we're going to be planting 14 more spots out here, or opening 14 more holes for 14 more tree spots. So what we're going to be doing, I thought it was going to be a little bit too confusing to have that many holes lined up. So we figured it was easier to come back and put them in after we dug most of the holes. So we're actually going to be planting every 3 holes, we're going to have one more hole right between. And then it'll be 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to have another extra hole right there for another tree. So we're actually going to be putting eucalyptus in there, and we're going to be planting coffee with the eucalyptus. right, so we're all finished out here putting out our material, and I want to show you a little bit of the details with that. So basically what we did was we had our holes every 2.5 feet apart, and what we did was we threw 1 bucket's worth of material right there. So what that's going to do is we're going to be able to put our tree in here, we're going to be able to take from this side, and we're going to be able to take from this side to fill our hole. And then one extra nuance, since we did add that extra hole, and since that hole is just a dibble tube, we just used our poker tool to just open up a small hole here. So we didn't want to put material because then it'll be hard to put the tree in there. So we kept the material in the bucket for now. We're going to drop the tree in, and then we'll add the bucket onto here. So we'll be planting these holes first, and then we'll probably be planting the bigger trees next to that, bigger potted trees. So we're on to fertilizer now. So we're gonna go and drop in each one of our holes some biochar, some of our tree mix fert. So this is azomite, calcium carbonate, shrimp meal, and alfalfa. And then we've got some Nutri-Rich. So we're gonna put those in all of our holes. And then here are our trees. So these all came out of the nursery. These are all going into the row. As you can tell, there's quite a few of them. All right, so our main crops in this area are going to be peach palm. So that's a sustenance crops for ourselves. And then we've got Luke's Garcinia here. That's a fruit tree. And then we're gonna have durian as our main overstory out here. So we've got Muson King, and we've got red prawn, and then we've got a seedling. And then the rest of the things are just random things that we're gonna plug in. There's some eucalyptus, and there's some acacia for biomass, and then just some random fruit trees. And then obviously we're gonna be planting more things. We're gonna be planting some stuff by seed. We're gonna be planting some cacao, planting some coffee, and planting a bunch of pigeon pea. So we're all finished out here planting trees, and there's a couple last details I want to tell you about. So we put our string back up to draw our line up once again so that we could plant all of our trees in a straight line. On another row, we had planted them without setting up that line again, and the trees ended up being all squiggly down the row. So putting up the line again allows us to be able to set the straight line down the row. Another thing we did was we came and we cut all of our leaves on every single tree out here. So we cut every leaf in half. So this is allowing the trees to not lose as much moisture with their transplant shock. One thing that I need to mention is that the whole point of what we were doing was trying to get our trees as close to ground level as possible. We cannot do any mounding here because we've lost a lot of trees to drought during that have been planted in mounds. So that's why we dug the holes down. That's why we're pulling the material up. That's why we have these edges here, so that if rain comes on this, it's going to go into our lane and water our trees. So we have major drought issues, so we have to be ground level or even a little bit lower. So putting the material here is really superficial on its height. It's really just so we can have something to plant into. And one kind of silly thing that we have to do is we have to plant some of these trees and put cages around them. So we have our Luke's Garcinias that are extremely shy of the sun. So we put them in a cage right now. So what we have right now is we have a pigeon pea that's already up above it, and we have a eucalyptus here. So very quickly it's gonna shade it. And then also we're gonna be planting a lot more stuff, and the cover crop is gonna come up and shade it. So this is really temporary, hopefully just a month, maybe 2. And then all the other vegetation will be growing in over them, and then we can take the cages off. I also wanted to mention these avocados. So since we did leave them up, we're actually taking advantage of their shade right now and planting some of these super delicate things like this Luke's Garcinia underneath here. So we really aren't quite ready to cut these yet like we thought we might be, but in a couple of months we'll probably come and take these down, you know, lower them to give more sunlight to the row when the row's actually ready for these things. And then we still have a few more things to do out here. So we're not totally finished, but at least our trees are in the ground. So we need to come out here and we need to mulch this heavily. So we're gonna be using our stick piles, our log piles. And then we are going to be planting more stuff out here, and we are gonna be planting some cover crop out here. So that's gonna be in our next video. So if you wanna check that out, please subscribe. That should be coming out, you know, in the next couple weeks. And then, if you're enjoying this content, please like it. And if you have any questions, please leave us some comments, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. We'll be spitting everywhere.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Was that good?
It was really
My
good.
slow-mo.
Yeah.
Are you videoing?
Yeah. Ooh, slab.
Slab. I like when the dust comes up.
Yeah, I like it when it sparks a little.